What are you doing with your life?
I think we're all good here. Wonderful. I love that's the dab, right?
Yes, it's
Wonderful.
never
So
left.
never left. It's a staple in our society, I suppose. So why not you? So my name is Daphne St. Clair Ferguson, and my goal this year is to uncover not only what is Canadian theater, but also delving into why Canada. So I've got a couple questions for you, but why don't you start with introducing yourself to our viewers here, and also a bit about Frat House.
Yeah, wow. Hello, I'm Devery Bess. I'm one of the co-producers and one of the artists in Frat House Evicted, which is super exciting. Essentially, it's how it started is five of us did a competition last year, wanted to and we didn't win.
Oh,
But I
well,
know, right?
maybe you're at least good enough to keep going, so that's something, right?
Yeah, but we liked working together so much that we were like, you know what? Let's do something we've never done before as a collective. Let's put together a play that includes drag and also theater, because some of us have background in theater, some of us have background in dance, some of us have background in so many different puppetry, like so many different things, and we kind of got all of our skills together to create this piece, Frat House Evicted, which has been such a cool experience. So there's a strong proponent of drag in it and a strong
Mm.
proponent of theater. We literally wrote the script. I'm like, we're a bunch of drag artists. We're not playwrights, but so
But you
far it's
did
been
it.
really, yeah, it's been a really cool process, and it's funny. I think it's funny. I laugh at it going through it, being like, this is so
This is
silly.
just juicy, juicy, juicy. So
Mhm,
talk to
mhm,
me a
mhm.
little bit about that writing process then. How did that go about for you this first time as a drag artist? What are the challenges that you found, but also what are some special insights that maybe a playwright who doesn't do drag won't have?
Yeah, well, we wrote this play as a collective, which I think was something that was really important to us because I think drag specifically is like such a singular performance
Hmm.
art. So it's usually you doing drag, and then the audience enjoys that. So we all have such independent or individual personalities. And so we brought all of our like special things that make us special, and we brought it into the play. So like, and I think something that was really cool about the process of writing a script together is that we were able, like, we truly respect each other in such a high regard
Mm,
that every time when someone was like, I have this idea, and they're like, let's figure a way to make this work. And then they did. And I think that's something that is really powerful and
right.
really exciting. And I think when you're working in a specific, like when I think about collaboration, I think
Hmm.
that is the juicy part of it, is just making sure you respect all the ideas and then build it together, and like not be like, well, my idea is the best. It's just like, oh
Right.
yeah, that does sound cool. What if we add this to, and like you just add on to things and just make it more and more ridiculous. If especially for a comedy thing that we're doing.
Hmm.
Um and we're all funny kings, we're all funny performers. So it was really cool to work in this process. Yeah. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
wonderful. And can you talk to me a little bit about how this progresses Canadian theater? What do you think Canadian theater is? Where does this fit into it? Does it fit in, or is it its own thing? What are you building for Canadian theater?
Yeah. So I think this is a multi-part answer.
Absolutely, it's
Um,
multi-part question. So,
I want to start with specifically drag and queer art. How do I say this? Because of Drag Race, because of
mhm.
television shows that are kind of uplifting drag, drag has been brought to this like mainstream level that people can engage with. And some of the things that come up in it is parody, is comedy, and all that kind of stuff. So I think by utilizing theater to really like speak to our experiences, because I think specifically for Frat House Evicted, we're talking about like the housing crisis. We're talking about like
Mhm.
our own experiences with toxic masculinity, because we as artists are drag kings, which is a little different than drag queens, and they don't have the same platform as other performers. So we're taking all of those experiences and putting into a piece of art. And I think that's something that's really beautiful, specifically about drag, is that drag allows for you to incorporate so many different art forms into the art. So like
Mhm.
again, when I was talking, there's somebody who's doing puppetry. There's someone who like there's some performers who sing live. I don't think in our show there might be like a guest performer who might sing live, but like there's so many different art that can be brought into drag, and I think drag tends to be like I want to be like cracker on the cheese. Like it is the receptacle for art
Mm,
sometimes, where
I
like
see.
drag is that starting point. I have this character, I have this persona that is bigger than myself, that is
Mhm.
a different person than me, but also there is a huge part of me in it, and I can
Right.
build on that and create something new and create something interesting and create something from a perspective that maybe I don't get to access in my everyday life. And I think that's something that is so exciting about theater and also drag. So melding the two to me makes things I think like I feel like drag is always like when theater is at like a 5 in extreme, like drag takes it to a 10, you know?
Right.
And not saying that like they're like this thing, I'm just thinking about like energy and all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
and like bringing in people from outside into the show. I feel like it's more common amongst drag artists to do so than I would say in theater. So I think what drag is bringing, or what our show is bringing to Canadian theater, is really melding the two in a way that is earnest
Mm,
while also bringing different perspectives. Because I think in mainstream media, in mainstream theater, and all this stuff, I don't think I would like to say in the things that I've seen, the perspective of specifically drag kings isn't something that is found very often. Like
yeah.
I maybe know, yeah, one or two companies in North America that are doing something very similar to this. Yeah.
And I think that's really special that you're bringing this. And so how because I think because like you're saying with Drag Race there's this perspective of what drag should look like. And so I'm curious for an audience who's maybe coming in expecting that pageantry of Drag Race that's televised. How do you prepare audiences for maybe something that's a little different? What are the differences between drag queens versus drag kings, and how do you prepare an audience for the differences?
We don't know. Today.
That's fine. I mean, I feel like that's also an answer as well. Like you just kind of hope that it sticks with people.
Mhm. But I think the answer to the question, multi-layered.
Again, another multi-layered question.
So drag kings have always been here. So usually what would happen in a normal show, like in a normal show, we would generally talk about it and have that. But I think within this context, we do have a like I guess I don't want to be like la, 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 but we do have a drag race queen who's going to be a part of our show, which I
Wow,
was really
very
surprised.
exciting.
Yeah, I was there. Honestly, I was watching, anyways, this is just me going on a tangent, but I was watching Drag Race and I was like, they were robbed. They're not, the story producers are not showcasing the amazing person that this person is because
Hmm.
I know them. But whatever, it's fine. But yeah, we're bringing in like artists, like we have guest artists who are like drag queens and all that kind of stuff, but also we're bringing in the subversion of general stereotypes. So, for instance, like our the opening scene for our show is us kind of like making some sort of epic thing that's like bam, 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 we're so epic, and then we sit down to have like a podcast, just like like every other guy has a
Right,
podcast.
right.
So generally, what we do is we try to take things that are kind of established. I would
Hmm.
say more likely established in pop culture, and then we spoofify it, we kind of make it drag, we make it camp so people have a space to grab onto and understand, and then be able to uh, come to our disbelief with it. Yeah.
That's
Does that
wonderful.
yeah.
It sounds so exciting. I really think you guys have a wonderful show for audiences. It just looks so much fun, and I just hearing you talk about it too. You're obviously very passionate about this,
Yeah.
so I think they'll be in for a treat. And I'm curious. I hinted to it at the beginning, but so why Canada? Why theater in Canada? Why is this
Well,
show in Canada?
yeah, well, we're all Canadian.
Hmm.
I think that's for the we're all Canadian, so I feel like
Yep.
that's the big part. I know like my experience, like my personal experience as an artist, I started my theater experience back in like for school. I went to school for theater
Mm-hmm.
over in Dawson College in Montreal, and I know that program really like set us up to try to have our own theater companies and kind of like build within that. So a lot of what I learned was from my schooling and those connections and all those kinds of things. And then as I traveled across Canada, because I lived in Calgary for 10 years and then I moved to Toronto, I kept learning more about production,
Mm-hmm.
theater, art spaces, and was able to build from all the places, like specifically for me, and I think for all the other folks who have lived here or in Kingston or in Ontario, we learn from all of our different experiences here in Canada that we could then bring into something that is cool and interesting. And I feel like starting here is not to be like it's a home field advantage, but yeah, there is this part of safety that comes with it too, especially being like
Mm-hmm.
marginalized. Most of us, all of us are trans. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's a level of safety that comes from being here in Canada, and also knowing our audience because we live here in Toronto. So I think that is something that is really exciting, and then we get to engage with a community that we don't normally engage with, or that which is the thing that makes us kind of really excited and kind of cool because the fringe we're doing it as a part of the fringe. So like the fact that it's a part of the fringe, we're connecting with a bunch of people we normally would not I would say I would never, but are less likely to.
A
And I think
larger
that
audience. Mm-hmm.
yeah. And I think that is something that is really powerful and cool because I think that Canadian arts, especially in Toronto, because I again, I've been across Canada. I've performed in
Mm-hmm.
Vancouver, Calgary, Montreal, Halifax. Like I've been all those things, and I think Toronto has so much talent, but it's so insular and it's so
Mm.
like I don't know, like siloed. Where if you do theater, you're theater. You're here. That's the
Right.
folks that you know. If you do drag, then you're here, and that's the folks that you know. But there's so much diversity and there's so much broadness in Canada that you can explore and do so much and learn so much for so many people. I don't know. Does that answer the question?
No, absolutely it does. Absolutely. And I'm also asking people, I know you said, it's a nice starting place, like it's safe and obviously you recognize your communities. But is Canada the end goal? Is this something you want to grow elsewhere, or do you want to continue to grow it across Canada? What's that end goal look like?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of looking a little ahead, not too
Mm-hmm.
far that it's unreachable, but I would love
Absolutely.
like specifically for Frat House Evicted, like I think this is something I haven't talked to the guys, but I would love to tour this and showcase the art across Canada and like
Mm.
leverage all the contacts that I have made and all those kinds of things to be able to experience this show because like in the collaboration process, there's a couple things that I really want to emphasize is that collaboration is key. If you play It Takes Two, but yeah, collaboration is key and is something that I feel like more like that is so important that we
Mm-hmm.
work together and build things as a collaborative and I think start to unpack this idea of scarcity because people are
Mm-hmm.
like, no, I need to make it all for me and this is only about me and like
Right.
hoard that kind of stuff when it's like, but if we work together, we can really build something cool and fun and connects with a bunch of people and people can laugh and like experience joy, especially now in this
Mm-hmm.
period like joy is so important. So I think a lot about this play, Frat House Evicted, is bringing in joy and like kind of while still talking about things that might be a little heavy and like just a little like it's
Yeah.
there, it's the undertone, but it's not like. But the whole thing is like finding our own agency in the things that
Mm-hmm.
we do and being able to exist as people and in this world together and like our line throughout the everything we've done together is always what is it true bros love their bros and I think
Mm.
that's yeah it's such an integral line to like what we're doing as a collaborative is just like we love each other so much. We like respect each other. We think the world of each other, and we love working together and being able to build things together. And there's parts of me who's like, I just want people to see this and be able to experience it and feel like I didn't think that I could do that. And then they start doing it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's the big gist of it is this. I want to see more collaboration. I want to see more folks creating art and like creating art as a collective.
That is really wonderful. And I think this leads really nicely into my final question. And this one's a big one. But what do you want to do with your life? You know, is
Me.
it, yeah, you, is it spreading that radical joy that you're talking about? Is it creating communities in other pockets outside of drag theater? What do you want to do with your life?
Yeah. So I guess it's so funny because 2021, I was on this journey trying to do something very similar of like
Mm-hmm.
creating a play that is both drag and all that stuff. But due to like everything, it kind of fell apart, which I was really sad about. But I think the biggest thing that I want to do personally is build connections. I think
Mm-hmm.
that different people play different roles in our society and in a collective. And one of those big things I would love to play as myself is the connector. I want to be able to connect people to other people so they can create the things that they want to create because there's so many people wanting to do such similar things that
Mm-hmm.
I just want to be like, oh, I heard this person talking about this thing. How can I connect this person to this person so they can do the thing so I get to enjoy it? And so when I think about me personally, I really want to see more art. I want to find ways to help support artists. I want to find ways to help people want to create. And I think that's some of the goals that I think about, like how can I facilitate that? And just like here in Toronto, one of the big goals that I have for myself is finding ways to build community in the sense of like connection. Because when I first moved here, everyone was struggling with feeling so lonely. And I was too, because I was new here. I moved
Mm-hmm.
here about 3 years ago. And so, like, I'm trying to work towards facilitating those relationships or those connections or trying to build that so I get to enjoy the joy of people
Mm.
being able to be in community and be stoked and like supporting each other and like moving through the world as a collective rather than an individual. I know that's not such a lofty goal, but
It's huge. It's
um,
a big question, but and you know
mhm.
it always changes, right? Like as you move and grow and make more connections, your goals might change, which I think is just, I mean, that's the exciting thing about life. Um,
Yeah,
but thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. Is there anything
yeah.
else you want to mention about Frat House, about your journey as an artist, before we sign off?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was like Frat House Evicted, July 2nd to the 13th. It's definitely super campy. It's super fun, and as much as we're not writers, we did a pretty good job, I think. Like I laugh at the script every single time, and I know that I wrote it, so you're like, you like your own stuff. But like, I
You
also
should
feel
like
like,
your own stuff.
yeah. But I always feel like artists are hypercritical of their stuff, and I'm like,
Hmm.
no, this is really good. And like we've gotten a lot of validation from community too, which has been really nice. So I'm just really excited to be able to show this to the world and like thank you so much for letting us chat about it. And I look forward to seeing you there and seeing all the audience there because it's going to be silly, fun, joyful, and just a riot.
I cannot wait to join the frat house. I cannot wait to get in there. I love a good frat
Yeah.
party.
It's the frat party of the year.
Woo! Well, thank you so much once again for joining me this morning. And I cannot wait. This is Daphne St. Clair Ferguson signing off. And a dab.
Toronto Fringe, what do you want to do with your life? What do you want to do with your life? What do you want to do with your life? Toronto Fringe?